Okay, so this is Rexburg, Idaho, where we all are right now. Now, my adopted country is Suriname, and we're going to fly there really quick and kind of see. So, see, we're leaving the United States, going down to South America. It's the very tip, kind of by the ocean, and here is Suriname. Now, you can see that over here to the left, we have Guyana, and then French Guiana to the right. Of course, we have ocean up there, lovely ocean. And then down below Suriname, this is actually Brazil. So that gives us a good, idea of where we are. As far as the government of Suriname, they were once a colony of the Netherlands. Now, when they won their freedom, they fell into military rule under Desiree Bouterse. Let's be honest, I don't know how to say his name, but that's what we're going to guess. That should be a B right there, not a B. And this is where he is from. He's from Domburg, Suriname. If you could kind of see as we zoomed in, it's kind of a little bit northern. And to the side a little bit, to the east. Now, this is kind of just a rural part of Suriname. And in this town he grew up, it was actually fairly politically saturated. There was some different political rulers or whatnot from him to kind of get ideas from or whatever. But he was the main ruler. He took over under the military rule. Now, when Suriname, when they started with elections and things like that, that changed. However, currently in the last election in 2010, he was voted back in as their leader. Now, his top political candidate is a man named Santoki. That's probably not how you pronounce it. But let's go ahead and fly. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. We're going to go ahead and fly to where he's from. Zorgenhoop is the name of it. And I can't remember what Zorg means, but it's something and of hope. I think it's like City of Hope or something like this. Something like that. And this is actually in Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname. It's a little bit to the west. But so he kind of grew up in the center of things, a little bit more affluent, definitely had privileges and advantages because of where he was from. I mean, you see, now granted this is from current, but even from, let's see here, we'll click on 1970, kind of see what the picture is going to show us. Of course, it's not as good of a picture, but you can still kind of tell, you can see some cities, outlines of some cities or whatnot. It was still very much a huge center. So let's go back to our present day view as well. Okay. All right. So he's the main political contender. They're from different parties, heads of different parties, and obviously he lost out in the last election to Bouterse. Now, next place we're going to fly to, also in Paramaribo, this is just the center of this wildlife preservatory union or whatever. But the WWF, basically, their goal is to help conserve the natural resources of the Guianas. So, Suriname, French Guiana, all of those places. And I think it's interesting because how they do that is they actually do that by working with the private sectors. One of the reasons that's nice is because Suriname actually does not do very well at manning their own resources. So it's kind of nice to be partnered with someone like the WWF so that they can step in and help kind of man those resources. And it helps them, establish that global connection, with other nations. Now, next we're going to fly to a nature preserve. And what's special about this one is there's a mountain here, and it's actually somewhere over here-ish, that is actually home to the blue poison frog, which it's on the endangered species list, but it's actually, you can see here, it's classified as vulnerable. Now, this is a company called Archive. What they do basically is they kind of provide for all of the endangered species or whatnot, of which Suriname has quite a bit of. They're heavily forested. There's lots of rainforests, so it's kind of an untouched treasure as far as wildlife goes because it has not been developed a lot. So Suriname's, because of their wildlife, it's helping them to have global unity and reach out to other nations and start to establish that, which is definitely a step in a positive direction for them. A lot of their global connections, though, do happen because of nature, different aspects of that. Next, for example, I want to take you back up here a little bit, and we're going to look at UNICEF, which is actually a global program that helps specifically with children, kind of the welfare of children, so it's helping to deal with development goals that deal with children and stuff like that. But their purpose in Suriname is helping with water and sanitation, which is interesting because Suriname's water and sanitation is not bad. I mean, a lot of people have access to water, especially in the northern countries, but when you kind of get into the middle, not so much. A lot of the nation, even though Suriname looks good on paper, that's kind of only taking into consideration those northern countries. A lot of the middle of Suriname, they don't have, proper toilet. They don't have a lot of access to clean water, things like that. So one of the things UNICEF does is help with clean water, and their motives behind that is to help with the lifestyle of children, make sure that they are given opportunities and things like that. So let's look at this picture here. Just kind of shows one of their rivers or their bodies of water. This is Brokopondo in Suriname. So and there's lots of water here. I don't know if you saw when we were up by the capital. There was that huge river that kind of came down. So they have a lot of water. But there's some other issues we'll talk about a little bit that are kind of starting to affect that. Next, let's go to this preserve here. Oh, this is actually what I wanted to click on. We're going to take a detour over to the far left of Suriname. Okay, so this is another tributary. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Well, actually, I will. It looks like it's Kobori Creek, something like that. You can see right there. It's home to the river otter, which is actually on the endangered species list. So this is actually working with Archive again. Let's see if it's going to let me bring up this picture here. Okay. Yeah, it's the giant otter. It's been classified as endangered, and it lives specifically in this tributary. Now, since it is an endangered species, the Archive group definitely has a lot invested in Suriname in this location. They don't have any natural predators. It's basically just, because of what the humans are doing, things like that. Which kind of brings us into our next point, or the next thing that I want to talk about. Suriname's two biggest sources of revenue are their mining and their timber, basically. Now, Suriname, the whole southern portion is basically just a rainforest, and they haven't been explored a ton. And a lot of them are on nature preserves now, but because they haven't been explored a ton, there has been a lot of human interaction. They're so rich with wildlife and things like that. If we can zoom in a little bit here. Oh, well, I guess that's too much of a zoom in. But they have lots of nature preserves scattered everywhere. I don't know if you've seen these little green trees as we've been going around, but those are all nature preserves in Suriname. So if you see up here, we have another one. This is the Raleigh Valley Nature Preserve, and let's look at some pictures here. See if we can see anything good. Just kind of give you an idea. But what's happening is the more and more that Suriname starts to mine, the more detrimental it's becoming. They're starting to ruin these habitats for some of these animals, these endangered species. So that's definitely starting to become an issue. With WWF, that's something they're trying to work against and things like that, but it needs to come more from inside of Suriname as well. The next I want to take you to is one of their mines, and this is the last place we'll go on our tour. This is Rosebel, Suriname, and we're going to look at the Rosebone mine. Okay. It's really quite pretty, as I'm sure you can imagine. It's lovely. The issue we're coming across here is we talked about how UNICEF was working with water and to provide clean water. But what's happening is with Suriname, with all their mining and with the logging too, but it's causing a lot of pollution into the waters that they do have. What's really unfortunate is that with the lumber especially, it is in those more inner territories or the southern provinces that don't have great water as it is. So it's just we definitely need the help of people like the global sources like WWF to kind of make sure that Suriname doesn't ruin all of their resources. Now I zoomed out here again. Now this is the big city, and we have some others. This is Paramaribo. Now we have some other cities here, but basically from here down, most of this is all like there's some roads and there's some communities. Some of the indigenous people live in these areas or whatnot, but rainforest, that's the majority of it. And since it is such a big part, and then it's something they're going to need to work to conserve using the help of people like WWF, but it also needs to come from within their country as well. So that's a brief look at where Suriname stands, kind of with environmental sustainability, with global partnerships, working with these different global entities, and their politics as well. And a lot of these reforms will need to come from politics. So that's what we have there for Suriname, and hope you enjoyed the tour.